Imagine waking up every morning and instantly feeling in control, unstoppable, and ready to take on the world, all because of the words you choose to tell yourself before the day even begins. When you wake up in the morning, it's easy to feel like the day is already pulling you in a dozen different directions. The notifications waiting on your phone, the tasks piling up at work, the responsibilities at home, all of them compete for your attention before you've even taken your first sip of coffee. But here's the truth: the moment your feet hit the floor, you have a choice. You can let the day control you, or you can take control of the day. Most people don't realize how much power they have in shaping the tone, pace, and direction of their day. It's not about controlling every single event, that's impossible, but it's about owning your mindset, your reactions, and your priorities. Control starts with clarity. If you don't know what matters most to you today, everything will feel urgent and you'll end up reacting instead of leading yourself. Before the world gets a chance to pull you in, take a few minutes in the morning to decide what's important. Ask yourself, what are the top 3 things I need to focus on today? This small act immediately shifts you from being at the mercy of circumstances to being the one calling the shots. Taking control also means protecting your mental space. If you start your day by checking messages or scrolling through social media, you're handing the steering wheel over to other people's priorities and opinions. Suddenly, you're thinking about what they're doing, what they expect from you, or what they want you to react to. Instead, keep the first part of your day for you. Fill it with thoughts, plans, and actions that align with your values and goals. When you control your input, you control your outlook. Another part of owning your day is understanding that you have control over how you respond to challenges. You can't prevent every problem, but you can decide whether you'll meet it with frustration or with problem-solving energy. Every time you choose a productive response instead of an emotional reaction, you're reinforcing the truth that you are in charge. It's also about time ownership. The hours in your day are a resource, and if you don't manage them, someone else will. Saying yes to every request, allowing interruptions, or bouncing between distractions are all ways you quietly give away your control. Learning to say no when something doesn't align with your priorities is one of the most powerful ways to take it back. Control isn't about being rigid or inflexible. It's about intentional direction. Some days will still go sideways, and you'll have to adjust, but even then, you're adjusting from a place of choice, not chaos. You are setting the tone instead of letting it be set for you. When you start each morning reminding yourself that you are in control of your day, you anchor yourself in personal power before anything else has a chance to take it away. Your attitude is the lens through which you see the world, and it's one of the few things that's entirely within your control. From the moment you wake up, you have the power to decide how you're going to approach the day ahead. Life will always present you with situations you can't predict or control, but how you choose to perceive and respond to them is entirely yours. The truth is, 2 people can face the exact same situation and walk away with completely different experiences simply because of the attitude they brought to it. That's how powerful this choice is. When you consciously decide your attitude each morning, you're not pretending that life is perfect or ignoring real challenges. You're simply refusing to let negativity or outside forces dictate your mood or your energy. You're deciding to carry a perspective that helps you move forward rather than one that drags you down. Some days this will feel effortless. You'll wake up feeling motivated, rested, and ready to go. Other days it will be a deliberate act of discipline, choosing a productive and optimistic frame of mind even when your circumstances make it tempting to spiral into frustration. Choosing your attitude doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or deny when things are hard. It means you acknowledge what's happening, accept what you can't change, and then deliberately focus your energy on what you can influence. For example, if something inconvenient or upsetting happens in the morning, you can either let it poison your entire day, or you can see it as a small obstacle that you'll handle and move past. That choice alone can save you hours of unnecessary stress and emotional exhaustion. A positive, determined attitude has a ripple effect on everything you do. It changes the way you speak to people, the way you carry yourself, and the way opportunities show up for you. People are drawn to those who bring uplifting energy into a room, and that energy starts with the inner decision you make before you've even left your house. On the flip side, if you let irritation, pessimism, or cynicism set the tone, you'll unintentionally push away possibilities and people who could help you move forward. The beauty of this power is that you can reset your attitude at any point during the day. If you realize you've slipped into a mindset that isn't serving you, you can pause, take a breath, and make a conscious shift. That's why starting the morning with a clear intentional choice about your attitude is so impactful. It becomes your baseline, your anchor, the thing you return to no matter what happens. Life will hand you lemons, detours, and sometimes outright disasters, but none of them get to dictate who you are or how you show up unless you give them permission. It's easy to wake up and immediately focus on what's missing: more money, more time, more support, more certainty. That mindset can make you feel like you're already behind before the day even starts. But the truth is, you already have everything you need to make today a success. Maybe you don't have all the resources you wish you had, but you have something far more important: the ability to use what's in front of you right now. This belief shifts your focus from lack to possibility, from waiting to creating. When you remind yourself in the morning that you already have what you need, you stop making excuses about why you can't move forward. Instead, you begin looking for ways to work with the tools, skills, and opportunities already available to you. This isn't about pretending your situation is perfect. It's about recognizing that your creativity, determination, and resilience are resources in themselves. People often underestimate how powerful resourcefulness is compared to having the perfect setup. If you think back on times when you've made progress in your life, you'll probably realize that you didn't always have ideal circumstances. You figured things out along the way. You learned new skills, you asked questions, you adapted. That's proof that you don't need everything to be in place before you start. You just need the willingness to take the first step with what you've got. The moment you act on this belief, you train your mind to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Believing you already have what you need also strengthens your confidence. Instead of feeling like you're chasing something external to validate your worth, you operate from a place of self-trust. You understand that while you can always learn and grow, you're not starting from zero. You've already got knowledge, experience, instincts, and the ability to learn more. This mental shift changes the way you approach challenges. Suddenly, instead of thinking, I can't do this until I have X, you start asking, how can I do this with what I have right now? That's when momentum happens. It's important to realize that this mindset also frees you from perfectionism. You no longer wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect tools before you begin. You start with what's in your hands and improve as you go. That action-first approach not only moves you forward faster, it builds resilience because you learn how to adapt when things don't go according to plan. Every day is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are capable of making progress with the resources you already possess. Whether it's your skills, your mindset, your relationships, or simply your willingness to show up and try, you already have the raw materials to make something happen. When you step into your day with that belief, you shift from feeling powerless to feeling unstoppable. Life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. Challenges show up uninvited, and sometimes they feel overwhelming. But if you look back over your own history, you'll see something important. You've already done hard things before. You faced situations that scared you, pushed you, or made you doubt yourself, and you found a way through them. That track record is proof that you are capable of doing hard things again. Reminding yourself of this in the morning is like putting on mental armor. It doesn't mean the day will be easy, but it means you already have the strength to face it. Hard things don't always look the same. Sometimes they're obvious, like dealing with a loss, overcoming financial struggles, or pushing through a big project at work. Other times they're quieter, but just as demanding, like getting out of bed when you're feeling low, having a difficult conversation, or choosing discipline over comfort. No matter the form they take, these moments all require resilience, courage, and persistence. Qualities you already have because you've used them before. When you start your day reminding yourself that you can do hard things, you interrupt the tendency to avoid discomfort. Most people wait until they feel ready before tackling a challenge, but readiness is a myth. You rarely feel ready before you begin, and that's okay. Action is what creates readiness. The moment you push yourself into the challenge, you prove to your brain that it's survivable. Each time you do this, you build evidence for the next time, which makes you more confident in your ability to handle what's ahead. This belief also changes your relationship with fear. Fear will always be there when something matters to you, but when you know you can do hard things, fear becomes a signal that you're about to grow, not a stop sign. You stop interpreting hard as impossible and start seeing it as a challenge worth accepting. That shift in perception alone can keep you moving when others give up. It's also important to remember that doing hard things doesn't mean doing them perfectly. It means showing up, taking the next step, and continuing even when the outcome is uncertain. Some days the hardest thing you do might not look impressive to anyone else, but it will matter to you. It could be as simple as keeping a promise to yourself, saying no when you want to say yes, or trying again after you've failed. These moments build inner strength just as much as big, visible wins do. Every hard thing you've faced has left you with lessons, scars, and stories that prove your capability. They are the receipts of your resilience. Starting your day with the reminder that you've handled difficulty before gives you the confidence to face whatever is coming next. Even if you don't know how you'll solve it yet, you can trust that you'll figure it out the same way you always have, by showing up and doing the work, one step at a time. ChatGPT said, motivation is one of the most misunderstood concepts when it comes to getting things done. People tend to think it's something you wait for, like a sudden rush of energy or inspiration that magically shows up and pushes you into action. But the truth is, if you sit around waiting for motivation, you'll be waiting a very long time. Motivation isn't a spark that appears out of nowhere. It's something you create by taking action, even when you don't feel like it. In fact, most of the time, motivation comes after you start, not before. When you wake up in the morning, there will be days when you don't feel like doing what you need to do. Your brain will try to talk you into delaying, negotiating, or putting things off for later. This is normal because your brain is wired to prefer comfort over effort. The problem is, if you let that feeling decide for you, you'll stay stuck in the same place. The way out is to take action before you feel ready, even if it's something small. That tiny first step sends a signal to your brain, we're doing this. That's when momentum starts to build. Think about it like pushing a heavy object. The hardest part is getting it to move at all. Once it's in motion, it's much easier to keep it going. Motivation works the same way. The first few minutes of effort might feel awkward, uncomfortable, or even pointless. But as you keep going, your energy starts to shift. You begin to see progress, and progress fuels motivation. It becomes a cycle. Action creates motivation. Motivation fuels more action. This is why it's powerful to build a habit of starting no matter how you feel. Instead of waiting for a burst of inspiration, commit to a small action that moves you toward what matters. If you need to work on a project, open the document and type a sentence. If you want to exercise, put on your shoes and walk for 5 minutes. These small actions break through the inertia that keeps you stuck. Once you're in motion, it's much easier to keep going than it was to start. It's also important to remember that you don't need to feel motivated to produce great results. Some of your most productive, meaningful work will happen on days when you weren't in the mood to do it at all. That's because discipline outperforms motivation every time. Discipline says, I do it because I said I would, while motivation says, I do it when I feel like it. When you rely on discipline to get you started, motivation eventually shows up as a side effect. By telling yourself every morning that you won't wait for motivation but will create it, you reclaim control over your actions. You stop making your progress dependent on a feeling that's unreliable and unpredictable. You start proving to yourself that you can move forward at any time in any mood simply by starting where you are and letting action lead the way. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of being human. Yet so many people let those mistakes become the main thing they see when they think about themselves. They replay moments in their mind, criticize themselves for what they should have done differently, and carry the weight of past errors like a badge they never wanted to wear. The problem with this is that it traps you in the past and makes it harder to see the opportunities in front of you. When you remind yourself each morning that you are not your mistakes, you break that cycle. You separate your identity from your actions, and you give yourself permission to grow. Mistakes are events, not definitions. They're moments in time when you acted with the knowledge, resources, and mindset you had back then, not who you are now. Every single person you admire, whether in business, art, sports, or life, has a trail of mistakes behind them. What sets them apart isn't that they avoided failure, but that they refused to let those failures define them. They took the lesson and left the rest. That's the same mindset you need to carry forward if you want to keep growing. It's easy to be kind to yourself when everything is going well, but the real test is whether you can show yourself compassion when you fall short. When you internalize the idea that you are not your mistakes, you free yourself from the need to be perfect. Instead of avoiding risks out of fear of failure, you're more willing to try, experiment, and push beyond your comfort zone. This is where growth happens, not in staying safe, but in leaning into experiences that may not work out exactly as planned. Carrying guilt or shame from past mistakes often creates hesitation in the present. You second guess yourself, overthink decisions, or avoid opportunities because you're afraid of making another misstep. But the truth is, mistakes will happen again, and that's not a bad thing. Each one is a teacher. The more mistakes you make, the more chances you have to learn, adapt, and become stronger. When you see them that way, they lose their power to paralyze you. It also helps to remember that other people's opinions about your mistakes don't define you either. People will judge. Some may criticize. Others might even try to hold your past over you. But their version of your story isn't the whole truth. The only thing that matters is how you choose to see yourself and what you decide to do next. You have the ability to rewrite your narrative starting right now, no matter what happened before. When you step into your day with the belief that you are not your mistakes, you open the door to possibility. You can face challenges without the shadow of your past hovering over you. You can make bold moves knowing that your worth is intact, no matter the outcome. You can live today without being chained to yesterday, because your identity is built on who you are becoming, not on the moments when you fell short. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for shifting your mindset, but most people treat it like an occasional practice rather than a daily habit. When you start your morning by being grateful for what you already have, you instantly change the way you see the world. Instead of focusing on what's missing, what's going wrong, or what you wish you had, you anchor yourself in the abundance that already exists in your life. This isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to see the good that's present alongside the challenges. The human brain is wired to scan for threats and problems. It's a survival mechanism. Left unchecked, that tendency can make you hyper aware of everything that's not going your way. Gratitude interrupts that pattern. It forces your mind to search for things that are working, for moments of joy, for blessings that might otherwise go unnoticed. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes to spot these things without effort. Over time, this rewires your perspective so that positivity becomes your default rather than something you have to force. When you make gratitude part of your morning routine, you're not just lifting your mood, you're influencing your entire day. Gratitude boosts your resilience because it reminds you that even when things aren't ideal, you still have resources, relationships, and strengths to draw from. It softens stress because it shifts your focus from scarcity to possibility. You can feel tired, busy, or uncertain, but when you deliberately count your blessings, you create an inner calm that makes everything more manageable. Gratitude also has a ripple effect on your relationships. When you appreciate the people in your life, whether it's your family, friends, co-workers, or even strangers who make small acts of kindness, you start treating them differently. You listen better. You respond with more patience. You see them for who they are instead of only noticing what they lack or what frustrates you. And often this change in you inspires a change in them. Another benefit of beginning your day with gratitude is that it strengthens your ability to find meaning in hard times. When you can say, this situation is difficult, but I'm still grateful for X. You're not denying the struggle. You're adding context to it. You're reminding yourself that your life is bigger than this one problem and that good still exists alongside the challenges. This perspective makes it easier to keep moving forward instead of feeling trapped by your circumstances. Gratitude doesn't need to be complicated. You can think of 3 things you're thankful for while brushing your teeth. You can write them down in a notebook. You can speak them out loud while making coffee. The method doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Every time you practice gratitude, you strengthen the mental muscles that keep you grounded, positive, and open to more good things finding their way into your life. For far too many people, shrinking themselves has become second nature. They lower their voice, hold back their opinions, or avoid stepping into opportunities because they worry about taking up too much space. Somewhere along the way, they learn to believe that being visible, confident, and assertive would make others uncomfortable or invite judgment. The problem with this mindset is that it slowly erases your presence from your own life. When you start your day by reminding yourself that you are allowed to take up space, you challenge that conditioning and give yourself permission to be fully present unapologetically. Taking up space doesn't just mean being physically noticeable. It means owning your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. It's standing by your ideas even when others disagree. It's expressing yourself without diluting your truth to make it more palatable. When you believe you have the right to occupy space in the world, you stop apologizing for existing and start living in alignment with who you are. That shift affects every area of your life, from how you speak in a meeting to how you walk into a room. There will always be people who interpret your confidence as arrogance or your assertiveness as aggression. That's not your problem to solve. The goal is not to make everyone comfortable with your presence. It's to be authentic, consistent, and grounded in your own worth. When you own your space, you inspire others to do the same. You become an example for the person who's watching from the sidelines, wishing they had the courage to speak up or stand tall. Owning your space also means setting boundaries. It's recognizing when someone is taking advantage of your kindness, ignoring your needs, or dismissing your contributions, and being willing to call it out or walk away. It's understanding that protecting your space, both physically and emotionally, is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. The more you practice this, the more you'll notice that people start to treat you according to the standard you set for yourself. Taking up space isn't about dominating others. It's about refusing to disappear in your own life. It's about giving your dreams, your talents, and your perspective the room they deserve. You might not be the loudest person in the room, but you can be the most intentional. You might not have all the answers, but you have the right to share your ideas and take part in the conversation. The more you show up this way, the less you'll tolerate environments or relationships that ask you to shrink. When you tell yourself every morning that you are allowed to take up space, you step into the day with a different energy. You walk taller. You speak with more clarity. You stop asking for permission to be yourself and instead give yourself that permission every single time you show up. No matter where you are or who you're with, ChatGPT said worthiness is not something you earn through achievements, approval, or perfection. It's something you already have by virtue of being alive. Yet so many people wake up each day questioning whether they're enough to be loved, respected, trusted, or valued. They measure their worth against their productivity, their appearance, their bank account, or other people's opinions. And when those measures fall short, they start believing they don't deserve the very things they crave most. Telling yourself each morning that you are worthy of love and respect exactly as you are right now is a way to dismantle that damaging belief. When you start from the foundation that you are already worthy, you stop living your life as if you're constantly auditioning for approval. You stop over-explaining, overworking, or overcompensating to prove your value. You start making choices from a place of confidence rather than fear. This shift is powerful because it changes how you carry yourself, and people respond to that energy. They sense that you have a baseline of self-respect, and they tend to treat you accordingly. Self-worth doesn't mean arrogance or entitlement. It means you recognize your inherent value and refuse to let anyone convince you otherwise. It's the quiet but steady belief that you deserve kindness, fairness, and love without needing to perform for it. That belief becomes a filter for how you allow others to treat you. If someone disrespects you, manipulates you, or tries to diminish you, your sense of worth helps you set boundaries without hesitation. It also changes the way you give love and respect to others. When you feel unworthy, it's easy to fall into one-sided relationships where you give endlessly in the hope of finally earning acceptance. When you know your worth, you still give, but from a place of strength and choice, not desperation. Love becomes something you share, not something you trade for validation. Recognizing your worth also impacts the opportunities you pursue. People who undervalue themselves often settle for less pay, less respect, less fulfillment, because they think that's all they can get. But when you start the day reminding yourself that you are worthy, you begin aiming higher. You advocate for yourself in ways you never have before. You walk into situations believing you belong there, and that belief alone can open doors that once felt out of reach. Some days, you might not feel worthy. Maybe you made a mistake, faced rejection, or are struggling in some area of life. That's when this reminder is most important. Worthiness is not a feeling, it's a fact. It doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. It doesn't vanish when you fall short. It's constant. When you tell yourself every morning that you are worthy of love and respect, you're not just repeating words, you're reinforcing a truth that can shape every decision, every relationship, and every opportunity you encounter throughout the day. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck is because they think they have to figure out the entire plan before they can take action. They want every detail mapped out, every risk accounted for, and every possible outcome predicted before they start. The problem is life rarely works that way. Waiting until you have it all figured out is just another form of procrastination disguised as preparation. The truth is, you don't need the full roadmap to move forward. You just need to take the next step. When you focus on the next step instead of the whole journey, you remove a huge amount of pressure. You don't have to know exactly how things will unfold or guarantee the end result before you begin. All you have to do is identify the smallest action that will move you forward from where you are right now. Once you take that step, the next one becomes clearer. This is how momentum works. Action reveals possibilities you couldn't see while standing still. This approach is especially powerful when you're facing something intimidating or unfamiliar. Big goals can feel overwhelming because your brain starts listing every obstacle, every skill you don't have yet, and every reason it might not work. But when you shrink your focus to the very next thing you can do, you bypass that mental overload. The task becomes manageable. You start moving, and once you're in motion, you begin to see solutions and opportunities you couldn't have imagined from the starting line. Not having it all figured out is not a sign of weakness or failure. It's simply how progress works. Most of the greatest achievements in history were built step by people who had no guarantee of success. They learned, adapted, and adjusted along the way. They understood that clarity often comes from action, not from endless thinking or planning. You learn more in a week of doing than in a month of sitting on the sidelines. Focusing on the next step also keeps you present. Instead of being paralyzed by the what-ifs of the future, you stay grounded in the actions you can take today. That presence reduces anxiety because you're no longer trying to solve problems that don't exist yet. You deal with challenges as they come, using the information and resources you have in the moment. There will always be uncertainty, no matter how much you plan. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can free yourself from the need for perfect conditions. You start trusting that you figure things out as you go, just like you always have in the past. When you tell yourself every morning that you don't have to have it all figured out, you give yourself permission to start now. You remove the invisible barriers that have been holding you back and replace them with a simple, powerful question. What's my next step? And then you take it. Excuses are one of the most convincing lies your mind can tell you. They often sound reasonable, logical, and even protective. You'll hear them as thoughts like, I'm too tired, I don't have enough time, I'll start when I'm ready, or this isn't the right moment. They disguise themselves as valid reasons, but in reality, they are just walls your brain builds to keep you in your comfort zone. The truth is, you are stronger than those excuses. Every time you push past them, you prove to yourself that they don't control you. You do. Excuses come from a part of your brain that's designed to keep you safe. That part sees effort, discomfort, or risk as potential threats, so it tries to talk you out of taking action. While this instinct might have been useful thousands of years ago, when danger meant survival in modern life, it often works against you. Avoiding challenges might feel good in the short term, but it robs you of the progress, growth, and results you actually want. Recognizing this pattern is the first step to breaking it. When you start your day with the reminder that you're stronger than your excuses, you put yourself in the mindset of ownership. You stop letting your circumstances, mood, or habits dictate what gets done. Instead, you make a conscious choice to follow through on your commitments, even when it's uncomfortable. The feeling of accomplishment you get from keeping a promise to yourself is far more rewarding than the temporary relief of avoiding the task. One of the best ways to beat excuses is to act quickly before they have time to multiply. The longer you wait, the more convincing they become. You might start with one small reason not to do something, but soon your mind will stack another on top and another until you've talked yourself out of it completely. Action, even the smallest step, interrupts that spiral. Once you've started, momentum makes it easier to keep going. It's also important to remember that your excuses aren't going anywhere. They'll show up every day in some form. The goal isn't to eliminate them completely. It's to build the strength to move forward despite them. You might still think, I'm too tired or I don't have time. But instead of stopping, you acknowledge the thought and act anyway. This is how you retrain your brain to see action as the default response. Every time you push through an excuse, you collect proof that you are capable of more than you give yourself credit for. That proof builds confidence, And that confidence makes the next challenge easier to face. By starting your morning with the conviction that you're stronger than your excuses, you set the tone for the entire day. You step into your responsibilities, goals, and challenges knowing that no matter what story your mind tries to sell you, you have the strength to choose action over avoidance. Moving your body every day is one of the most powerful commitments you can make to yourself, and it has nothing to do with punishment or chasing a number on the scale. It's about giving your body the attention, care, and movement it needs to function at its best. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life. It supports your goals, holds your experiences, and reacts to every choice you make. When you treat it well, it rewards you with energy, strength, and resilience. Daily movement doesn't have to mean hours in the gym or intense workouts unless that's something you enjoy. It can be a walk around your neighborhood, stretching in your living room, dancing to your favorite music, or doing a short workout in the morning before the day takes over. The goal is consistency, not perfection. Small, intentional actions compound over time to create massive benefits for both your body and your mind. Physical activity has an immediate impact on your mood. When you move, your brain releases endorphins, which help reduce stress and increase feelings of happiness and well-being. It also sharpens focus, improves sleep, and boosts your ability to handle challenges. That's why even a quick burst of movement can shift your entire state of mind. It's like pressing a reset button for your mood and energy. Taking care of your body through movement is also a form of self-respect. It's a way of showing yourself that your health matters and that you're willing to invest in it daily. This isn't about chasing an unrealistic ideal. It's about building a foundation that allows you to show up fully in every area of your life. When your body feels strong, it becomes easier to tackle your goals, manage your responsibilities, and maintain your mental clarity. There will be days when moving your body feels like the last thing you want to do. You might feel tired, busy, or unmotivated, but those are often the days you need it the most. Movement doesn't drain your energy. It creates it. The hardest part is starting, but once you begin, your body responds and you feel the difference almost immediately. It's also important to remember that movement is a long-term investment. You might not notice dramatic changes right away, but over time, you'll see the results in how you feel, how you carry yourself, and how easily you can handle physical tasks. You'll notice more stamina, less tension, and a greater sense of connection to your own body. When you begin your day with the intention to move, you send yourself a message that your health is a priority. You're not waiting for a crisis to make changes. You're building strength and vitality every single day. It's a commitment to keeping your body capable, your mind sharp, and your spirit energized so you can keep showing up for the life you want to live. Being open to unseen opportunities means training yourself to look beyond the obvious and expect that good things can appear in ways you don't anticipate. Too often, people get so locked into a specific plan or vision that they miss out on unexpected chances that could move them forward. Life is full of hidden doors, but they don't always swing open in the places you're looking. Sometimes what you need most is disguised as something different, and you only recognize its value if you stay curious and aware. Opportunities don't always announce themselves with flashing signs. They can be as subtle as a conversation with a stranger, a small idea that pops into your head, or an invitation you weren't planning to accept. When you're closed off, you dismiss these things without exploring them. But when you intentionally stay open, you give yourself permission to explore possibilities before judging them. This mindset is about replacing "that's not for me" with "what if this could lead somewhere?" and allowing yourself to follow that thread even if you can't see the whole picture yet. Curiosity is your greatest tool here. When you approach life with curiosity, you naturally ask more questions, notice more details, and see connections others overlook. This can turn ordinary moments into extraordinary turning points. A casual coffee meeting could lead to a career opportunity. A small side project could evolve into a major passion. A random skill you pick up out of interest could become valuable in ways you never predicted. None of this happens if you only focus on what you already know or expect. Being open to unseen opportunities also means being willing to pivot. Sometimes the path you thought was right for you changes and something better comes along disguised as a detour or even a setback. Losing a job might open the door to starting your own business. A failed project could introduce you to someone who becomes a lifelong collaborator. What feels like rejection today might be redirecting you towards something far more aligned with your goals and values. It's also worth remembering that opportunities often arrive in the form of challenges. A difficult situation can push you to develop skills, resilience, and resourcefulness that later open doors you didn't know existed. By staying open, you stop labeling events as purely good or bad and instead view them as potential stepping stones. You don't have to understand exactly how they'll help you yet. You just need to trust that they could. When you start your day with the mindset that unseen opportunities are out there, you naturally become more attentive, receptive, and adaptable. You notice the person sitting next to you on the train, you follow up on that random idea you had in the shower, and you say yes to small invitations. Over time, these little moments add up to major turning points, and you realize that being open to possibilities is one of the most powerful ways to keep your life moving forward. Showing up for yourself consistently means making a daily commitment to your own growth, health, and well-being, even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging. It's about refusing to abandon yourself when things get hard and recognizing that the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other area of your life. When you consistently follow through on the promises you make to yourself, you build self-trust, and that trust becomes the foundation for confidence, resilience, and long-term success. Most people have no problem showing up for others, keeping work deadlines, attending social events, or helping friends and family. But when it comes to their own goals or self-care, they push those commitments to the bottom of the list. Over time, this creates an internal message that your needs aren't as important, and you begin to lose faith in your ability to stick to what you say matters to you. Showing up for yourself flips that script. It means you start treating your own time, energy, and dreams with the same respect you give to external obligations. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. There will be days you feel off, days when you fall short, and days when things don't go as planned. But showing up is less about flawless execution and more about refusing to give up. It's the act of doing something, even if it's smaller than you intended, to keep the momentum alive. If you plan to exercise for an hour but can only manage 10 minutes, you still moved your body. If you wanted to write 5 pages but only got 1 done, you still took a step forward. These small acts reinforce your commitment and make it easier to show up again tomorrow. Showing up for yourself also means advocating for your needs. It might require setting boundaries with people who drain your energy, saying no to opportunities that don't align with your values, or carving out time for rest even when life is busy. It's about making decisions that protect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being instead of constantly sacrificing them to meet others' expectations. The real magic of showing up for yourself is how it compounds over time. One day of action might feel insignificant, but weeks and months of consistent effort build habits, skills, and confidence that transform your life. You begin to see proof that you can rely on yourself, and that proof fuels even greater action. The gap between where you are and where you want to be begins to close, not because of one huge leap, but because you showed up day after day. When you commit to showing up for yourself no matter what, you stop waiting for perfect conditions or external motivation. You take responsibility for your growth, knowing that no one else can do it for you. And in doing so, you develop the kind of self-respect and inner strength that carries you through challenges and allows you to create the life you truly want. Every morning is a chance to reset, refocus, and remind yourself of your power. The words you choose shape the actions you take, and the actions you take shape the life you live. So speak to yourself like someone who's destined to win.